opening with impact. Good morning, everyone. Let me ask you something. When was the last time fear stopped you? Was it last week, last month, or maybe just this morning? Imagine standing at the edge of a breathtaking cliff. Below lies the life you've always dreamed of: success, love, freedom. But between you and that life, fear. It whispers, what if you fail? What if you're not enough? But here's the truth: fear is not a wall, it's a doorway. And today I'm going to hand you the keys to unlock it. If you've ever felt paralyzed, stuck, or unsure, stay with me, because this isn't just a speech, it's the turning point you've been waiting for. Fear is a mask, not a monster. It's one of the most misunderstood experiences we have as human beings. Too often we treat fear as an enemy, something to avoid, conquer, or push away. But what if I told you that fear is actually a guide, a messenger trying to tell you something important? What if fear wasn't the problem, but our interpretation of it was? Fear, at its core, is a signal. It's your mind's way of saying, pay attention. There's something here that matters, but instead of listening, we let fear dictate our lives. We freeze, avoid, and overanalyze. Why? Because we've been conditioned to believe that fear is the ultimate stop sign. It's not. Fear is simply a mask covering what's really going on beneath the surface: our potential, our desires, our capacity for greatness. Think about the moments when fear has crept into your life. Maybe it was before a big decision, a critical conversation, or the chance to step into a new opportunity. Fear likely whispered, you're not ready, you're not good enough, or what if it all goes wrong? But what if those moments of fear were actually moments of possibility? Fear shows up most when we're standing on the edge of something important, something that could change our lives if we were willing to step through the discomfort. The key to overcoming fear is to stop treating it like a monster hiding under your bed and start recognizing it as a mask covering your growth. Behind that mask lies your untapped potential, waiting for you to embrace it. Fear is like the gatekeeper to the next level of your life. It's not there to block you. It's there to ask, how much do you want this? Are you willing to grow for it? Instead of running from fear, try this: get curious about it. Ask yourself, what is this fear trying to teach me? What is it pointing me toward? For example, if you're afraid of public speaking, maybe it's because deep down, you know you have something valuable to say. If you're afraid of starting something new, perhaps it's because you know it matters to you. Fear often signals areas where we have the most to gain. Here's the transformative realization: fear is not the end of the road, it's the beginning of it. When you face it, you start to see it for what it truly is. You realize that fear is not a brick wall, it's a veil you can lift. And beyond that veil lies everything you've ever wanted: confidence, fulfillment, and the ability to live your life fully. So the next time fear shows up, don't shrink back. Instead, lean in. Acknowledge it, question it, and then take the next step forward anyway. Because every time you move through fear, you reclaim a part of yourself that's been waiting to shine. Fear is not your enemy, it's your invitation to grow. Fear is deeply embedded in our biology, an ancient mechanism designed to protect us from harm. It's what kept our ancestors safe from predators and other dangers. But in the modern world, this same survival system often holds us back, not from life-threatening dangers, but from opportunities, growth, and the unknown. Fear isn't just an emotional experience, it's a physiological response hardwired into us. When you feel fear, your brain triggers a cascade of reactions. Your heart races, your palms sweat, and your body prepares to fight, flee, or freeze. It's a remarkable system, but it's also one that needs to be understood and managed if we're to move forward in life. The good news is that fear, like any habit or response, can be rewired. The brain is incredibly adaptable. Neuroscience shows us that through intentional practices, we can literally change the way our brains respond to fear. This isn't just theory, it's science-backed truth. The key lies in neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form and reorganize connections in response to learning and experience. Every time you challenge a fear and step into discomfort, your brain starts to associate that action with safety rather than danger. Over time, this rewiring builds resilience and courage. Think about this: fear tends to exaggerate the worst case scenario. It tricks your mind into believing that failure, rejection, or embarrassment are certain outcomes. But when you break it down, most fears aren't grounded in reality. They're what ifs and stories we tell ourselves. What's incredible is that we can rewrite those stories. When fear arises, instead of letting it dictate your actions, ask yourself, what's the best case scenario? Shifting your focus from the worst to the best helps your brain create new, empowering associations. One of the most powerful ways to rewire fear is through repeated exposure and action. Imagine standing at the edge of a pool, afraid to jump in. The first leap is terrifying. Your heart pounds and your mind races. But after the third, fourth, or fifth jump, it's not so bad anymore. This is your brain learning, adapting, and recalibrating its response to fear. It's proof that the more you face what scares you, the less power it holds over you. Another critical element in overcoming fear is cultivating self-awareness. Often fear hides behind excuses or avoidance. I'm too busy, I'm not ready, or it's not the right time, or often masks for fear. By becoming aware of these patterns, you can confront them head on. Ask yourself, what am I really afraid of? When you name the fear, you take away some of its power. Fear will always be a part of life. It's part of being human. But you don't have to let it control you. Through awareness, action, and consistent practice, you can rewire your brain to respond to fear with curiosity and courage. The science is clear: you have the power to grow through fear and emerge stronger on the other side. Embracing fear is not about welcoming discomfort for the sake of suffering. It's about recognizing that the things we fear most often hold the keys to our greatest freedom. Fear is like a locked door. On one side, you stand hesitant, anxious, and uncertain. On the other side is everything you've ever wanted: growth, fulfillment, and the realization of your potential. The question isn't whether fear will show up. It always does. The question is whether you're willing to walk through it. One of the biggest misconceptions about fear is that it's a signal to stop, but more often than not, it's a signal to move forward. Fear arises when we're on the brink of something meaningful, something that could challenge us to grow. This is why fear isn't the problem. Avoiding it is. Every time we avoid what we fear, we reinforce its power over us. We tell ourselves a story: I'm not capable, I'm not ready, or this isn't for me. But those are just stories, not truths. What makes fear transformative is that it points to areas of untapped potential. Fear is like a compass guiding you toward the edges of your comfort zone where real growth happens. When you avoid fear, you remain stuck. When you face it, you open the door to freedom. Think about the moments in life when you've been most proud of yourself. Were those moments born from ease and certainty? Likely not. They were born from challenge, from stepping into fear and emerging stronger on the other side. The paradox of fear is that the very act of embracing it diminishes its power. Imagine fear as a shadow in a dark room. When you avoid it, it looms larger, taking up more space in your mind. But the moment you shine a light on it, when you turn toward it instead of away, it begins to shrink. This is the beauty of confronting fear. It doesn't mean you eliminate it entirely, but you learn to live with it in a way that doesn't control you. Freedom doesn't come from a life without fear. It comes from living fully despite it. Embracing fear is an act of courage, but courage doesn't mean the absence of fear. Courage means choosing to move forward even when fear is present. It's about saying, I see you, fear, and I'm moving forward anyway. One way to embrace fear is to reframe it. Instead of viewing fear as something to overcome, see it as an opportunity to grow. Fear is a natural response to stepping outside your comfort zone. It's a sign that you're doing something that matters. Rather than running from it, lean in. Get curious about what the fear is teaching you. Ask yourself, what's on the other side of this fear? What could I gain if I didn't let this stop me? The most fulfilling lives aren't lived by avoiding fear, but by embracing it as part of the journey. When you stop running from fear and start moving toward it, you discover something incredible: fear loses its grip. It no longer stands as a barrier, but becomes a stepping stone to the freedom you've been seeking all along. The power of decision and momentum in overcoming fear is often underestimated. Fear often paralyzes us by making us feel overwhelmed, uncertain, and hesitant. But the simple act of making a decision, even a small one, has the incredible ability to break the cycle of fear and set you on a path toward action. The real power lies in the momentum you create once you decide to move, even if you don't feel fully ready. When we stand in fear, we often feel like we're at a standstill, unable to take the first step because we're waiting for perfect conditions, certainty, or an absence of fear. But the truth is that you'll never feel fully prepared. No matter how much we plan or strategize, fear will always be there to whisper doubts in our ear. The key to overcoming it is taking the first step, regardless of how uncertain or fearful you feel. That initial decision to move, no matter how small, is what creates the momentum you need. It's like pushing a heavy boulder uphill. The first push is the hardest, but once you get it rolling, it becomes easier and you build strength along the way. Momentum is a powerful force that keeps us moving forward, even when fear tries to slow us down. It's what separates those who achieve great things from those who remain stuck. Momentum is the result of consistent action, and the more action you take, the more momentum you build. The key is to start with small, manageable steps. You don't need to tackle everything at once. It's about breaking down your goal into bite-sized pieces and then taking one action at a time. Each action, no matter how small, chips away at the fear that holds you back and creates a wave of positive momentum that propels you towards success. One of the most powerful aspects of momentum is that it creates a positive feedback loop. The more you act, the more confident you become. The more confident you become, the easier it is to act. This cycle accelerates your progress, making it easier to push through challenges and move beyond the fear that once held you captive. Every small success you achieve adds to the momentum, making it easier to take bigger risks and embrace even more significant challenges. It's also important to recognize that momentum isn't always a straight line. There will be setbacks, obstacles, and times when fear resurfaces. But here's the thing. It doesn't matter how many times you stumble, as long as you keep moving. The key is not to wait for fear to disappear, but to make the decision to act in spite of it. Even if you don't feel 100% ready, make the decision to take the next step. Each decision to act weakens fear's grip and builds the momentum that will carry you through the next challenge. By choosing to move forward, you unlock a new level of strength and resilience. You begin to see that fear isn't an insurmountable barrier, it's simply a signal to keep going. When you combine the power of decision with the force of momentum, you create a powerful engine that drives you towards your goals, no matter how fearsome they may seem at first. Momentum turns hesitation into action, and that's when you truly begin to overcome fear. Fear often asks us to choose between two paths: the discomfort of pushing through or the long-lasting sting of regret. It's easy to fall into the trap of avoiding fear, thinking that it's safer or more comfortable to stay where we are. But if we choose to let fear stop us, we risk the deep, nagging pain of regret that comes with missed opportunities. Fear might feel immediate, but regret lasts longer and is often more painful. It's the kind of pain that comes from realizing that you could have done more, been more, and taken that chance but didn't. Regret often lives in the what could have been space. It's what we feel when we look back at a time in our life when we chose comfort over growth. Perhaps we didn't take a leap of faith in our careers, didn't ask for that promotion, or didn't speak up when it mattered most. Regret is not a one-time feeling, it's a recurring echo of missed chances that can become louder over time, affecting our happiness and the way we see ourselves. The more we let fear control our actions, the more we feed that regret, and it starts to shape the narrative of our lives. What's powerful, however, is that we have a choice in this matter. Fear doesn't have to be the thing that holds us back. Instead, we can use it as a powerful tool to guide us toward what matters most. Every time we choose action over avoidance, we reduce the possibility of future regret. Each decision, each bold step forward, no matter how small, is an investment in a life with fewer what-ifs and more meaningful experiences. The fear of regret is one of the most motivating forces you can tap into. It's the fear of waking up in the future and realizing you've played it too safe. It's the fear of never knowing what could have happened if you'd taken that risk, asked that question, or chosen to step out of your comfort zone. Embracing that fear and using it as fuel can propel you to make decisions that align with your deepest desires and values, rather than allowing fear to keep you stuck in inaction. Regret isn't just about the big missed opportunities. It can also stem from small, everyday moments where we choose fear over courage. Maybe you didn't speak your truth in a relationship, or you passed up an opportunity to grow because you feared failing. Over time, these little missed moments accumulate and create a sense of dissatisfaction and longing. However, when you start to take risks, even small ones, and embrace the discomfort of fear, you create a life that's free from regret. The beauty of choosing to act in the face of fear is that it teaches you not to fear regret itself. As you move through the world with the knowledge that you've made the brave choice, regardless of the outcome, you start to realize that regret is not the absence of failure, it's the absence of trying. You begin to understand that the worst thing you can do is let fear paralyze you, because the consequences of inaction are often far greater than the consequences of making a mistake. Ultimately, the fear of regret is not something to run from, but something to use as a catalyst for action. It's the voice that says, don't wait, don't hold back, and make the most of today. By choosing to face fear head-on, you can avoid the crushing weight of regret and instead create a life filled with bold decisions, growth, and the satisfaction of knowing you gave your best effort. The freedom you seek lies on the other side of that choice. The idea that overcoming fear is simply about survival is a limited view. Fear isn't just something to escape from, it's an invitation to thrive. Every moment of fear you face is a chance to transform, to step into the hero's role in your own life story. When we allow ourselves to remain dominated by fear, we simply exist, we survive, but we don't truly live. True living happens when we face our fears and use them as stepping stones towards something greater. Overcoming fear is the catalyst for stepping into your highest potential and becoming the person you were meant to be. The hero's journey, as it's often called, isn't about avoiding the dragons or escaping danger. It's about confronting the dragons, navigating through the challenges, and coming out stronger on the other side. In our lives, the dragons are the fears, doubts, and uncertainties we face, and the journey to overcome them is the path to our own transformation. The hero is not someone without fear. They are someone who has chosen to face it, learn from it, and emerge more powerful. When you embrace fear as part of your journey, you realize that it's not a signal to retreat, it's a signal to move forward. Fear points you toward areas of growth and transformation. The discomfort that fear brings is an indication that you are on the precipice of something important. Something that could change your life in profound ways. When you choose to face those fears, you step into your own narrative of personal heroism. The most inspiring stories are not those of people who avoided fear, but of those who took it on headfirst. Think of the innovators, the trailblazers, the creators, and the leaders each of them has faced fear. But they didn't let it control them. They leaned into it, recognizing that the only way to achieve something extraordinary was by moving through the discomfort of the unknown. They didn't wait for certainty, they made decisions in the midst of fear, and in doing so, they created legacies that continue to inspire others. Similarly, your story is not defined by what you avoid, but by what you choose to confront. The fears that you face today are the building blocks of the success and fulfillment you'll experience tomorrow. Every decision you make to confront fear, no matter how small, takes you one step closer to the life you truly want to live. And just like a hero, every challenge you face with courage adds to the richness of your story. The beauty of stepping into your hero's journey is that it's available to anyone willing to take that first step. Fear doesn't discriminate. It's present for everyone, whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, an artist, a leader, or someone simply trying to improve themselves. But the difference between those who thrive and those who simply survive lies in how they handle fear. The moment you decide to face it head-on, you start writing the next chapter of your story, the chapter where you conquer what once seemed impossible and unlock new levels of growth and achievement. In the end, overcoming fear isn't just about surviving the challenges you face, it's about becoming the person who rises to meet them. It's about embracing the fear, stepping into the unknown, and discovering just how powerful you truly are. The hero's journey begins with a single decision to stop running from fear and start using it as the driving force toward greatness. And once you make that decision, there is no limit to what you can accomplish.